What's up, YouTube? Jeff, your Style O.G. And on today's video, we're going to talk about 10 things most men don't admit. If you're new to the channel, we release a new video every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, discussing various men's lifestyle topics such as style, grooming, and dating. I invite you to subscribe, tap the notification bell, and join us. And to my returning friends like Dr. Gary Johnson, salute. Now, whether it's due to societal pressures, self-induced pressures, not wanting to be embarrassed, or feeling like it's just something men don't talk about, there's a lot of things men don't admit, but if you were to give them a truth serum, they probably would have to admit they're true. And that's what we're going to talk about on today's video. Now, the Style O.G channel is a safe haven. We can talk about these things without fear of judgment, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to talk about 10 things men don't admit, but probably wish they could. So without any further delay, let's hop right into it. Now, the first thing most men won't admit, we're going to go a little lighthearted on this one. Men love to gossip, just as much or maybe more than women. I firmly believe this to be true. Think about it when you were back in high school. If you got a kiss or anything else from a girl, you ran to tell all the details to your friends, and your friends were all ears to hear it. Not only that, think about how excited we get about sports trade rumors, how we're just as much into pop culture as a lot of women. Don't let any man tell you any different. We enjoy gossip just as much as women do. We love to stick our nose in and hear and spread other people's business, whether at work or play. Trust me, men like to gossip. Now, next up, we have a little bit more of a serious topic, and one men definitely don't like to admit, but I'm here to tell you they most of the time feel this way. We're much more concerned about losing our hair than we care to say. Now, I've heard many guys say, if I start to lose my hair, I'll just cut it all off. I won't try to keep it. I call BS. And I'll admit, I was that guy. When I started losing my hair, I said, man, I'll just get a baldy, who cares? Here we are years and years later, and I'm still doing light tricks and angles to try to get you guys not to see I have the hair struggle. Men really do care about losing their hair. We're a lot more vain than you might think, and it's the one struggle we have much more than the ladies do, this male pattern baldness. We want to hold on to our hair if we can. Nothing wrong with admitting that. Now, if you're someone like me who has dealt with or are concerned about hair loss, I highly recommend you go to keeps.com/style and check out today's video sponsor, Keeps. Did you know that 2 out of 3 men will experience some type of male pattern baldness by the time they reach the age of 35? And it used to be, to do something about this, you would have to go to your doctor's office for an appointment to deal with your hair loss. Not so if you use Keeps. With Keeps, you can do an online visit with a doctor and have the hair loss medication you need delivered right to you. Once you sign up with Keeps, it will be delivered every 3 months right to your house in a convenient and private way. Your biggest weapon in hair loss is prevention. That's why if you're suffering from some hair loss, time is of the essence. You want to get started as soon as possible. So the sooner, the better. Make sure you go to keeps.com/style and find out why Keeps has more 5-star ratings than any of its competitors. And find out why hundreds and thousands of men go to Keeps for their hair loss medication. One of the great things about Keeps is that they offer generic versions of the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products out there. You may have tried them before, but not at these great prices. So if you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, make sure you go to keeps.com/style to get started with doing something about your male pattern baldness today. Another thing men definitely struggle to admit, but I'm here to tell you a lot of us do experience it. Men don't admit that they get lonely. Now, for a lot of us, especially as we progress through adulthood, we lose some of our older friendships, but it becomes more difficult to get new relationships, especially because we're not in the same environments where you make long-lasting friends, most of the time in school. But as we get older, we don't lose the need for male bonding. So as some of our friends start to fade away, loneliness can creep in. And on top of that, guys that are single, most of them don't really want to be. They'd rather have a girlfriend. But in today's culture, a lot of times guys would get called a simp for even expressing the idea of wanting a woman. On a side note, that's not what a simp is. As human beings, we're not meant to experience life alone. But as we progress through adulthood, it's harder to keep and maintain good friendships and relationships. This can lead to loneliness. A lot of guys are experiencing it, but don't admit it. Now, right along with not wanting to admit loneliness, there are other emotions that guys won't express, but I'm promising you they do experience them. We have a full range of emotion as human beings, and an emotion a lot of times we don't get to express, but we do have, is sadness. So a lot of guys, including myself, from time to time enjoy a nice cry. Now, I'm not saying we're crying every weekend or boo-hoo anytime someone hurts our feelings. That's not what we're doing. But every once in a while, we do enjoy a nice cry. It's cathartic. You feel better afterwards. A little secret between me and you, we're friends here. I'll occasionally watch a sad TV show or movie just to get a good cry out. I don't cry that often about things that happen to me, but I'm an empathetic person. If I watch a sad TV show or movie, the tears will come out and I'll feel better afterwards. And I'll admit it for all of us. A lot of guys like to have, every once in a while, a good cry. Now, on a lighter note, there's something, especially if you're watching this channel, a style channel, that a lot of us guys really like, but may not admit all the time. Just like the women do, we like nice things. Now, in pop culture, it's usually shown that the women like nice things, diamonds, fancy clothes, purses. But if you're a style guy like me, you like nice stuff just as much. Whether it's a great pair of shoes, a fancy car, the latest OLED TV, we like nice things too. But being as though normally we're shown as providers, not receivers, sometimes we don't like to admit that we like nice things for ourselves, just like we like to give them to others. And I'm here to let you know, it's okay to want and strive for nice things for yourself. Nothing wrong with that. Most guys won't admit it, but we like nice things too. Now, piggybacking off that last one, I mentioned how a lot of times we won't admit we like nice things because, first of all, we're supposed to provide for others. And one of the things sometimes men won't admit, the ability or the lack thereof to provide is something that's really important to us. And when a man doesn't have the ability to provide, it makes him feel emasculated, either by others or by self-induced pressure. That's why a lot of times it's such a big deal about how much money we make. We want the ability to provide. And when we lose a job or aren't making as much money as we would like to, we don't feel as good about ourselves. I'm here to tell you that's okay, and I actually feel it's natural. As I mentioned, I believe a guy's drive is to be able to provide and protect. When a guy isn't able to do it to the level he would like, it bothers him. He might not admit it, but it does. The next thing that I know a lot of guys won't admit, but they do quite often, many men compare themselves to others. Now, this comparison can come in negative or positive ways. If you're comparing yourself in a negative way, it could come off as jealousy or envy. But if you're using comparisons in a positive way, it can be inspiring and motivating to see what other guys do. And just think about it. Most of us guys came up playing sports. We like to compete. So as life goes on, we're still competing with others, whether they know it or not. That's where comparing comes in. We all do it, sometimes in a healthy way, sometimes not. I would submit and encourage you to compare with one person first, the guy in the mirror. You should want to be a better version of you than you were the day before. That's who you want to compare yourself to. But I'll be the first to admit it, a lot of times we compare ourselves to others. Now, one of the things that I believe is universal for guys, whether they admit it or not, we all fear rejection. Think about it, most men, we can't avoid getting rejected. Whether it's for a job we want, a school we want to get into, but more often than not, we will face rejection when it comes to the opposite sex. And I found that many guys won't even approach a woman because they fear rejection. Even the guy who has enough confidence to go up and talk to a woman, he's afraid of rejection too. I want you guys to know that aren't as successful with women, even the smoothest, flyest guy in the world gets rejected a lot. No matter how cool a guy may seem to you, life gives us all more no's than yeses. So although it's natural to fear rejection, it's unavoidable. It's part of being a man. The ability to face your fears and endure these rejections to get the yeses, that's part of the process. But we all must admit, we do fear rejection. Now, next up is another thing I feel a lot of guys don't admit, but I believe is universal. Every guy wants to feel appreciated, especially if a man is going about his life doing the right things. He wants to feel appreciation from the people in his life that matter. I just believe it's a human thing. It's a natural desire to be appreciated for the hard work and the things that you do. And as a subset of this, for my guys that are in relationships, a lot of times we would love to receive more compliments from our lady. Yes, men like to receive compliments. And this is one I'll bring up to my lady. I don't have a problem saying it. Most of the time, we're used to giving out appreciation, giving out compliments. It's the gentlemanly thing to do. And no, I don't expect my lady to compliment me anywhere near as much as I compliment her. But every once in a while, it feels good. It's just a form of appreciation. We all want it, we all desire it. Even though we don't admit it, men love to feel appreciated. Next up, we have something men definitely don't admit very often, but I guarantee you they experience it. All men have insecurities. I don't care how successful, unsuccessful, happy or unhappy a man is, he has some things he needs to work on and he doesn't feel that great about. Definitely doesn't feel good admitting these shortcomings to other people. And in actuality, I'm not a firm believer that you're supposed to share these insecurities all the time with other people. But what I do advise you to do, admit these insecurities to yourself. Admitting your insecurities to yourself allows you to identify them and thus be able to work on them. If you don't first admit them, you can't fix them. Although a lot of things we talked about admitting in this video, they were more about admitting to others, insecurities need to be acknowledged on the inside. And from time to time, sharing these insecurities with others can be beneficial as well. But at the minimum, I want you to identify and admit your insecurities to yourself. Only then can you acknowledge them, work on them, and reduce them. Now, admitting these things we talked about on today's video, whether to others or to yourself, can be very healthy, very beneficial. It doesn't make you any less of a man to admit problems or concerns that you may have. Yes, some of them may be embarrassing, but just sometimes getting them out makes them a lot better. And I promise you, not only you, but me, and most guys experience some of these things on this list, they just don't admit it. Now, as always, I love to get your input. Let us know something in the comment section either you or other guys hate to admit, but we all know it's probably true.